Hello everyone, welcome back to Crimson Gray. Let's go ahead and continue on. So, Lizzie, tell me about yourself.
Oh, there's nothing to tell. I'm not important. I just want to listen to you more.
Yes, but if I want to know more about you, don't you want to tell me?
Ah, John is so kind. I don't deserve him.
So, what about your parents?
I live alone now. Neither of my parents wanted me anyway.
Oh. I'm sure that's not true. They probably just...
You don't have to make me feel better. I don't mind.
You don't mind that your parents?
My father never loved me anyway, and my mother's dead now.
Did you kill her? My parents separated too. They never made it formal, but yeah, they're separated. Mom doesn't like to visit and Dad is always at work, so it's like he's not really there.
You mean they just leave you alone? How horrible. How dare they just leave you like that?
You're not gonna kill them, are you? Calm down, Lizzie. Your eyes are doing the thing again. Clubs. Are you in any after-school clubs? When he wasn't pulling conversation away from troubling topics, John actually found himself enjoying their talk. Or maybe he was just happy to be talking to someone and actually managing to pay attention to the conversation. He finished every bite of the lunch without thinking about it. Given the way she stared at the last crumbs while he finished them, that was probably a good thing. Till later it occurred to him that she might have tampered with the lunch. Yet as she stared at him, so pleased that he had enjoyed it, John couldn't believe she would do anything bad to him. As soon as he had that thought, he remembered the tree and shivered involuntarily. After school, John had barely gotten out the door when he spotted Lizzie following him. It seemed as though she was stalking him at first, but when he made eye contact, she gave him a sweet smile and skipped forward.
John, let's walk home together.
Do we live in the same direction?
No, but don't worry. I'll walk back to my house later.
Which meant she did know where he lived. He really needed to be more cautious. Maybe we could do something else. You remember our promise?
Yes?
Getting medicine and therapy has really helped me a lot. I hope it will help you too. Now, I think the easiest thing to do would be to take you to Miss Smith, or she can't...
No. No. I hate her. She's awful and she wants to take you away from me.
Wait a second now, that's not true. She just wants to help.
John is too nice. He can't see what kind of person she is. I had to protect him.
Yes. Whoa, Lizzie, wait, calm down. If you don't want to talk to Mrs. Smith, we can do something else, alright?
Okay.
So, probably best not to choose a woman. There had to be male koi tech pharmacists in town. Maybe one of them could prescribe something. But he really wasn't sure how that worked. He had been counting on Mrs. Smith to guide the process, but now he'd have to figure it out himself. Lizzie, I need to do a little research first. Is that okay?
Okay, I'll follow you.
Maybe it would be easier if I did it myself.
No, I don't like that idea.
I'll see you tomorrow, okay? You can bring another lunch.
Okay, see you tomorrow, John.
He hoped that medication would help her stabilize. After all, she'd be cute if... Why exactly was he doing this? He had told himself it was to help her and make sure no one got hurt. And now he was hoping she could become normal and stay with him. Pathetic. He couldn't get a girlfriend normally, and so he had to take advantage of some poor girl's obsession. For now, it didn't matter. She really did need help, and he might be able to get her to it. It's just a question of how. The best way was probably to ask for advice, either from Mrs. Smith or a pharmacist. He could try to research for some himself, though he doubted he'd be any good at it, and he supposed it would hurt to ask her if she was taking anything else and had allergies or something. Damn it. He should have done that earlier. Now it's too late to... John realized that she was still following him. He shouldn't have been surprised. Okay, so asking her was still an option. But he only had so much time before he had to get home and do his whole schoolwork. So he needed to choose carefully.
Okay. You're making it real difficult, Lizzie. Smith, pharmacist, research in the library. Talk to Lizzie, just come over. Let's talk to a pharmacist. That sounds safe.
John explored the part of town where he thought he remembered a Koitek pharmacy. It turned out his memory was right. It was staffed by a male pharmacist. The middle-aged man gave him a perfunctory nod and listened patiently enough as John described Lizzie's symptoms without mentioning her directly. I'd recommend Paxitine or Serozine. Either one could... no, that's not enough. Excuse me, young man, I don't think... I'm on Paxitine. This isn't that simple for a problem. I'm worried she might hurt someone. I see. Is there something you should tell me, young man? No, I just want to help. I was shown that made me get some help earlier, and I want to be that person for her. If the condition is serious, I do have 2 suggestions. You think the blood test to prescribe either one, though. What do you suggest? Either Nilazine or Yandequel. Nilazine is better if the problem is mental. Yandequel if the problem is emotional.
I feel like it's mental.
Unfortunately, it was probably both. Thanks for letting me know about those. I'll see if I can't convince her. Not many people your age would go through so much trouble for classmates. You're a good kid. Strangely, the man's words actually made John feel better. Maybe he really was doing the right thing with all this. Stepping out onto the street, John glanced at his watch and decided he had some more time to research his options.
Talk to Mr. Smith, research the library, talk to Lizzie, just come over early.
I feel like Lizzie still was looking at us, so... let's talk to Lizzie. Yeah, you're right behind me. John walked along the street until he was sure that Lizzie was slinking out to him, then turned and waved to her. She waved back.
Hi, John. Did you change your mind? Can we go home together? I knew you...
No, I just wanted to check with you. Are you taking any medication right now? Have you had any bad reactions in the past?
Oh no, I've never taken anything. My mother always took so many drugs. It scared me when I was little.
I see. Are you sure you're really alright taking medication now, then?
Aww, John is so considerate. Don't worry, I'll be fine. I see you take your medicine every day to try to get better. I want to be like you.
Is that a compliment? I don't think that's a compliment. Okay, good. I hope it will help.
I'll take anything you give me, John.
It was getting late, and John realized he needed to get home quickly, if he wanted to have time for his homework. On his way back, he was sure that Lizzie was following him, but couldn't get a clear look at her. At least there was only one more day until the weekend. Oh, good, the weekend. Friday passed faster than John had expected. Lizzie was nearby at all times, and they ate lunch together. Things were almost normal. Almost. Just when he started to get comfortable, she would give a giggle that went on a little too long, or slide a hand toward where she had hid her knife, or respond far more enthusiastically than she should. Was it bad for him to think she was really cute despite all that? She could be nice, if she wasn't so, well. But John hated when his friend suggested he could be fun if he wasn't depressed, and that thought left an ugly knot in his stomach. Well, it wasn't long now. Maybe she could get some real help. He made it through his class, almost slept through his session with Mrs. Smith, then headed home. John finished his homework and chores as fast as he could and went to sleep. Going out in public always drained him, and he wanted to have enough energy for the weekend. Alright, Lizzie, are you going to be here on the weekend? He woke up too early, eyes gritty and head still mired in half-remembered dreams. John got up to get a drink and happened to glance out the window. What the fuck? Lizzie was standing outside his house with a huge smile on her face. After staring at her for a moment, John groaned and went back to bed. The second time he woke up, the sun had already risen. He felt a little better, but not much. Normally he would stay at home all weekend, but he couldn't do that if he wanted to help Lizzie. She was still standing outside his house, in exactly the same place with exactly the same cheerful expression. How many hours has gone by, Lizzie? John brushed his teeth, got dressed, combed his hair. He realized that he was acting like he was getting ready for a date. True, he had sort of accepted her confession. John decided that was just what he'd have to deal with now, if he wanted to have a connection with her. Well, at least he was going to go out with a cute girl. He hadn't done that since middle school, and those were childish relationships. Of course, this was the only way he could get a date. Pathetic. Finishing his preparations, John headed outside. He hadn't noticed from his house, but Lizzie had gotten dressed up for the occasion. He'd never seen her outside her school uniform, and it made him hesitate for a moment. Hi, Lizzie, you look fantastic. Yeah. She'd obviously put effort into making herself look good, and she did. It would have been nice, if not for how I made him worry about the level of importance she was attaching to the day. As soon as Lizzie saw him, her smile became even brighter than it had been while waiting.
John, I'm ready.
Good morning, Lizzie. Did you sleep alright?
Oh, I didn't sleep. Let's go.
She practically dragged him down the street, apparently heading for the bus station. Yet instead of looking forward, her gaze was fixed behind her on him.
Do you have a plan, John? This is our first date. It needs to be perfect.
Shit. He should have known she'd treat it this way. It wasn't like he had enough time. He used to be good at planning. What was wrong with him? Other than clinical depression. God, he was such a mess. Alright, he had to think. He used to be able to think on his feet. He could do this. So, I want to deal with the medication issue first so the rest of the day can be fun, right?
Sure, whatever you want.
If we get a blood test, we'll need to wait a while. I was thinking we could get the test first, then eat breakfast, then get the results. That should give us the entire rest of the day.
That's such a great plan. Let's hurry.
John was glad to hear her respond so happily, but wondered if she would have said that no matter what he told her. They took a bus across town to the first pharmacy and ordered a standard Koitek sampling. He'd been nervous that Lizzie might react poorly to the needle, but she just smiled sweetly at him while they took a bit of her blood and hopped back up.
Look, Band-Aid has little kitties on it. It's so cute.
You want to eat something now then?
Yes.
They walked to a nearby bakery and he bought them a pair of pastries. One of the only advantages of his workaholic father was that at least he had a decent amount of spending money. Lizzie held hers in both hands and began cheerfully nibbling on the end of it. She stared at him while she was doing it, but otherwise she looked ordinarily cute instead of scarily cute.
Yum, yum, yum.
I didn't know you could act silly.
I don't hear you laugh very often. You usually look so sad, and that makes me sad too.
Oh, don't say that, Lizzie. And like that, his good mood crumpled. I know. I'm always ruining everything. I don't know why everyone stays near me when I just...
No.
Lizzie took his pastry and stuffed it in his mouth to shut him up.
You're not depressing at all, John. Just being around you makes me feel warm inside. I just want to see you smile more. When you smile, I feel like maybe everything will be alright.
His attempt to talk around the pastry made Lizzie giggle, which made him laugh, which just set off a vicious cycle. After a fit of coughing, he had lost half his pastry but regained his good mood. It had been a long time since an emotional downturn hadn't sent him spiraling toward depression. Lizzie grinned at him and he smiled back at her. All at once, he felt guilty for trying to convince her to take medication. Was he to tell her what to do? Worse, was he manipulating her obsession like this? It was only to help her, but did that make it any better? The thoughts troubled him, but they remained in the back of his mind as they finished eating, talking lightly. But then they were finished, and it had been a while since the test. It was time to go back. Let's go get the results, okay?
Well, will John think differently about me?
No, I just want to find a way to help you, okay?
Okay.
She answered cheerfully, but thinking the lightheartedness they had shared was gone, and it wasn't coming back. Swallowing, John steeled himself and walked with her back to the pharmacy. Lizzie slowed near the entrance, then shuffled backward.
I'll stay here. You can bring me what I need, okay?
Okay. No problem. Inside, he found the pharmacist writing something on a clipboard. When he spotted John, he immediately frowned. You're alone? I suppose that's for the best anyway. We need to talk. Is something wrong? She's not sick, is she? It isn't that kind of test. It only takes a snapshot of a person's current condition. Is your friend going through a difficult time right now? Well, I mean, maybe a little. These are some extraordinary numbers. Most people only see those briefly during the worst days of their lives. Take care of her until things pass, alright? Okay. There's something else I have to ask. It won't be comfortable, but it's necessary. Have you ever gotten any sense that she might hurt herself or anyone else? No, I can't imagine her doing anything like that. The lie was out of his mouth before he had even consciously decided to lie. John regretted it immediately, yet now it was too late to contradict himself. The pharmacist grunted and looked over his papers. Well, keep a close eye on her. Even the gentlest person could be capable of violence under conditions like these. Is it really that bad? I thought she seemed better lately. No. There must be some recent trauma she hasn't told you about. I'm certain of it. I mean, someone with numbers like these regularly, they would be completely incurable. Insane, probably, and definitely a threat to society. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to imply anything. I'm sure she'll work through things and go back to normal soon. So, can you prescribe anything? I can give you 2 weeks of either Yanniquil or Nilazine. They should get her over the rough patch. Just 2 weeks? Can't you prescribe more? Not without a much more extensive evaluation, but like I said, that's all you need. I'm sure she'll recover soon. I really should be asking her directly, but in her present condition, I think it'd be safer to bend the rules and let you act like a family member. So, which one do you think would be the best for her? I had to choose? Nilazine was the mental one, Yanniquil was the emotional one. Emotionally, she should be okay, so mentally, let's, help her out with that. Let's make her think correctly. Two weeks of Nilazine coming up. Try to help her rest, okay? Yeah, okay. Heading outside, John handed it back to Lizzie. He had pushed pretty hard to get to this point, but he would never force her to take the medication. Hi, Lizzie. You look so cute. But you scare me. His father had used to talk like he didn't have a choice about depression medication, practically threatened to force feed him. John refused to do that to anyone else. But Lizzie didn't make an issue of it all. Smiling at him, she opened the bag, shook out one of the pills, and swallowed it without even taking a drink. She'd given the label a careful look, though.
Okay, I hope you can love me now, John.
Ah, your eyes are doing this thing again. Lizzie, no, I never meant anything like that. Please don't.
That didn't taste too bad at all. So can we go on with our date now, John? Can we?
He wanted to go back to what she had said, reassured that he meant nothing wrong by it, but his words stuck in his mouth. Maybe on some level he did mean to force her. Maybe he was repeating everything that had been done to him. But with Lizzie smiling at him like that, he couldn't fall too far into depression. Instead, John smiled back and gestured for her to follow. Without any great ideas, John thought they should go to the park. Their town had a pretty nice park, and it was usually empty this time of day. His friends always said that a movie was the best first date, but he suspected they mostly wanted to try and cop a feel. Besides, he was worried Lizzie would end up watching him instead of the movie. In the park, Lizzie happily skipped along the paths, often looking back to him, but at least looking at a lot of other things. As he watched, he realized that she was definitely calmer than usual. Her sweet cheerfulness seemed natural, not manic, and she even smiled at people that passed them sometimes. Could it really be the nihilizing? With him, the vaccine had taken weeks to work, and whether or not it actually helped had been really unclear. Then again, Lizzie was her own case. Of course, it took more than drugs to cure a serious condition. He knew that all too well. As Mrs. Smith had said, therapy was also an important component of recovery. Hers had certainly helped him a lot. The third main component was social support network, and there he completely failed to take her advice. He still spent most of his time alone or in meaningless old relationships. But hey, now he's walking in the park with a girl his age. Maybe things were looking up. And for once in his life, things went his way. Lizzie was happy to eat fast food for lunch and didn't even try to feed him anything. Afterward, he was pretty much out of plans and Lizzie didn't want to stop. Fortunately, she was happy to drag him around town to see random things. In a way, he was grateful for that. He'd spent all his energy for making decisions during the morning. It was easy to just glide along in her wake, and that way she was a good match for him. When the sun started setting, John was actually surprised. Had the day really passed by that quickly? He could barely drag himself through a lot of weekends. This was a welcome exchange.
Holy shit, is that John?
Uh-oh.
With a girl?
Hey guys. Ah, her eyes did the thing, and the music's changed.
Is that the crazy chick you told me about? Oh yeah, that's definitely her. Are you that desperate, John? Given how much of a sad sack he's been lately, I'm pretty sure she is.
Ah, Lizzie with an annoyed face is really cute. I can't tell but like her. Do any of you have girlfriends? You guys talk so much shit. Just leave Lizzie out of it, okay?
Oh, fuck you, John. If she wasn't crazy, you could never get a girl as cute as her.
She is pretty hot. I don't get why she's with you. Yeah, this really doesn't make any sense.
Aw, John, are you going to cry? Better not, or she'll realize how pathetic you are.
His positive mood was completely gone. He knew he should check to see how Lizzie was taking the mocking, but it was the most he could do not to fall into a mire of self-hatred. As always, he felt like he should be stronger than this, less emotionally fragile. That just added to his self-hatred. If it had been anyone else, he might have crashed completely, but he knew these guys, and he was at least familiar with their attitudes. John pulled himself together and faked a smile at them. Sounds like sour grapes to me. You all have fun with each other, okay? Come on, Lizzie. Let's get out of here. His classmates just scoffed. John considered taking Lizzie's hand and pulling it away, but worried about how she would react. And after a moment of hesitation, it was too late. Listen there, you piece of... Without warning, Lizzie stepped past John and directly into his classmates' faces. He caught a glimpse of her and she seemed strangely focused. Then he could see only the back of her head. John is a good person. Holy shit, she's practically humping you. You shouldn't say unkind things about good people. Her voice sounded sweet. His classmates took several steps backward. John was suddenly very grateful that he couldn't see her face. I've had a nice day today. I hope you all have a nice day too. Fuck this, we're out. They scrambled, just barely slow enough that they weren't running away. Lizzie stayed exactly where she had been standing, entirely still. John wanted to say something, but his mouth was too dry.
Let's get going, okay, John?
Sure. But they hadn't gone far before John realized that he couldn't follow up on that. He had pulled himself together long enough to walk away, but now he had nothing left. It was all too much. He wasn't usually outside in public this much, and though being with Lizzie wasn't bad, he wasn't stable enough for this much interaction.
John, are you okay?
I'm tired. I think I need to go home.
Is something wrong? Did I do something wrong?
He could hear the tremor in her voice. I knew she needed affirmation, but the apathy was choking him to death. He had no energy for anyone else, no energy for anything but getting back home, curling up, and wishing he was dead. Somehow he said goodbye, found the bus, and got all the way back home. The events passed like he was suffocating in gauze. The world around him too unreal to have any effect. Maybe he should have reassured Lizzie. It didn't matter. He was an idiot for thinking he could help her. Nothing he did mattered. Sunday was a miserable slog through every second. John gave up on accomplishing anything whatsoever and just lay in bed feeling worse about himself. He fell asleep early and woke up in the early morning, but not feeling better. That was impossible after a day wallowing in himself. But suddenly his energy was back. And he needed it, because he hadn't accomplished anything he needed to do over the weekend. He set to working feverishly on Monday's homework. By the time he needed to go to school, his eyes were gritty, and his good mood was gone. But he was ready, high-functioning. John sighed and headed to school. He hadn't gone very far before, without warning. Lizzie was walking beside him.
Good morning, John.
Morning. Are you alright, Lizzie?
I spent yesterday thinking. I've come to some conclusions.
So, what did you conclude?
For such a long time, the most I could imagine was being near you, talking to you. But now I see that's not enough. You have to be protected. I had to do it.
Lizzie.
What they said to you, it made me so angry. I wanted to kill them. Then you'd be safe.
Wait, you didn't?
No, I didn't. because you have to be protected from me too.
What?
Since I took the medicine, I see things differently. I don't like it, but I understand better now. I don't want you to be afraid of me, John. I'll protect you no matter what.
What do you see? She seems sad but so sincere. What was he supposed to say to something like that? I feel like if I took the emotional one, it wouldn't make her dull, but mentally she'd be the same and just do things without morals. But at least she's acting smart right now.
You don't need to say anything. Don't worry. Please don't worry. I'll protect you. That's all I can do.
I had a really good time on Saturday. I mean it. I'm glad to see you happy too.
John is too kind. Too kind. I'll see you later.
She rushed away too quickly, leaving John completely uncertain what to think. In some ways she seemed more stable, yet that wasn't a complete comfort. Lizzie was still carrying her knife. On Tuesday, John and Lizzie ate lunch together as if everything was normal, and in some bizarre way, it really was. Perhaps due to the medication, she seemed so much more stable than before. She was sweet and kind at all times, always considerate and affectionate. Yet there was the occasional moment when she saw a hint of something feral in her eyes. He worried about what she would be capable of, if she thought it was necessary. But all in all, John was happier than he had been in a long time. His classmates even stopped messing with him about Lizzie, though he wasn't sure if that was because she seemed normal or because they were afraid of her. Yet he wasn't. Not really. He had a hard time believing that anyone could really love him. Yet it seemed that Lizzie truly did. If anything, he worried that he could never love her back that intensely. He had an appointment scheduled with Mrs. Smith on Wednesday, yet for once when he walked into her office, didn't feel like he desperately needed it.
Ready for your session today, John?
Actually, I'm feeling really good. Maybe we could skip today's?
You should know better than that. If you stop the treatment that's making you feel better, you might have another relapse.
No, you're right. Sorry.
Don't be sorry. Just lie down and take a load off. So, how have you been doing lately?
Well, I'm okay, I guess.
That's better than most weeks. So it looks like you're making progress. By the way, I've seen you pass with a girl.
Are you two dating? Uh, something like that. It is still pretty early. Let's just say yes.
That's probably good for you. You need more relationships, but I have to ask, have the two of you been intimate?
What? How can you ask that?
I'm not teasing you. This is a very serious question.
You better not be leading up to give me a lecture about safe sex or abstinence or anything.
So, should I take that as a no?
Yes, I mean no. No, we haven't done anything like that.
It's good to hear that you're at least expressing interest. Koitek got back to me about Aerosbam, and it still decades from viability. So we don't have a solid option for libido issues. Damn.
Can we talk about something else? Anything else?
Sorry to make you uncomfortable, John, but I do need to be concerned about your welfare in all aspects. To that end, I need to ask one more question. Has the girl ever displayed any strange behavior, erratic tendencies?
Uh, sometimes. Yes.
John's fears flared up again, and he very nearly talked about the threats Lizzie had made. Yet the memory of her smiling sweetly at him flashed through his mind, and he ended up saying nothing. Is that a no? She's basically normal as I am. That's not much of a vote of confidence, but I know what you meant. I'm not being rude, John. This is important. You see, I looked at that girl's records, and to my surprise, I actually knew her mother. You knew Lizzie's mother? Yes, Abby Dawes took part in one of our early clinical trials. She was one of the women who had to be removed from the study when we learned that they had lied about being pregnant at the time. So Pt.2 was responsible for Lizzie's strangeness? Plus, I thought she displayed addictive tendencies. I understand she began abusing prescription painkillers later in life too. The poor girl probably had a hard childhood. So anyway, I just hope that the girl turned out alright. Any drugs taken while someone is in utero can have permanent long-term impacts. So I'm glad the girl turned out normal. I'm sorry, Mrs. Smith, but... nah. Moving on, you seem so much better. I assume the issue of emotional grayness took care of itself? Yeah, of course. Mrs. Smith seemed so positive. She couldn't bring himself to tell her the truth, because despite the general improvement in his life, that aspect of it had not. Lizzie was a single spot of color in his world, but the rest was even grayer than before. The rest of their session passed in a gray blur. When it was over, John was in a strange mood. He felt a little better, but not much. Usually after a therapy session, he floated in an empty tranquility, but now his mind was racing. He impatiently sat through his next class, but his mind was on what Mrs. Smith had said about Lizzie's mother. Could that be part of the reason for her instability? When he had a free period, John headed straight to the library and tried to look up past incidents. It was hard to find information on Pt.2's old trials, but when he eventually gave in and looked at the microfilm, he actually found some relevant articles. He knew that Lizzie had been born in 1972, so he was able to skim back to around the time she had been born. He actually found the birth announcement in the local paper easily, but for the rest, he was left searching aimlessly through shitty local articles. Okay, 1972. So, at best, they're 18. So, the year is 1986? And then all at once, it was easy. There was a series of articles that took his research from being boring whim to something that had him on the edge of his seat.
Apparently before it was called Koitech. The company had been called PharmaVax. They had rebranded after a series of drug recalls had ruined their reputation. John sat back, unable to read any further. Was that really the explanation? It felt so cheap. It was easy to presume that Lizzie's mother had been involved in one of the recalled PharmaVax trials, and her unborn child must have suffered the consequences. Could that really have unbalanced Lizzie this way? So, that meant that this was no phase she was going through. If her early development had been altered, she was probably this way for life. Yet the second emotion he felt was anger. Anger that Mrs. Smith or anyone else could think Lizzie was just some freak chemical accident. It was too much like the scorn that had been heaped on him for his depression. Whatever her problems, Lizzie was a person who deserved respect, help, but respect before anything else. Depression quickly followed on the heels of his anger. Unable to deal with any more of those thoughts, John just walked out without even replacing the microfilm. He drifted through the rest of the day, still stewing over what he learned. At times he could almost convince himself that this was a good thing. If drugs had unbalanced Lizzie, maybe they could balance her again. He could almost imagine them together, helping each other, maybe even getting married. When she passed him in the hallway, her eyes lit up, not in mere elation, but with a burning intensity. And in that moment, John was sure that Lizzie couldn't be cured. Oof. The question was, did he want her to be? There's a lot of things wrong with Lizzie, but I don't know. Several days later, as they were leaving after school, Lizzie caught up with him, an odd look on her face.
John, I'm so happy.
Really?
I spent so long just watching you, imagining what it would be like to say hello, to hear you say my name, for you to look at me. That we can actually talk like this. It's like a dream. A wonderful dream I never want to end.
I'm happy I met you too, Lizzie. This past week has been fun. Say, how is the nihilizine working out for you? No unpleasant side effects?
It's wonderful. Thank you so much for giving it to me.
Well, I hope we can find you some more once this dose runs out. Some drugs you can renew week to week, but I don't know about this one. It could be a pain.
Oh no, I wouldn't want you to go to any trouble for me.
But it's helping, right? I want you to be able to have more if you want it.
That's so sweet, but it's not necessary. It helped me understand our relationship clearly. I don't need it anymore.
Wait, what? No. That's not it. That's not it, Lizzie.
But John, we've been dating since you accepted my confession, but we've only done normal things. I love being with you every single moment, but can we do something more romantic?
They might as well. People already thought of them as dating, and she seemed so sweet for so long. What was the worst that could happen?
Please?
She's saying, please. We have a lot of options, considering that we have all next week off. But we don't have to wait that long. How about we plan something for Friday night? I don't have a car to pick you up, but I can take you to a nice restaurant.
Ah, yes.
Good then. It's a plan.
Friday, 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 Friday.
She would still have a day or two of medication left on Friday. John figured she would stay stable. Maybe the date would leave her happy enough that she'd change her mind about staying on her meds. No matter what mistakes her mother made, maybe Lizzie could be stable with the right treatment. John really thought this could work out between them. And I think I will save this for another time. If you guys are enjoying this video, please leave a like and comment what you think so far, what you think about Lizzie, what you think about it in general. And if you want to watch more of this, please check the playlist down below. If you want to watch other visual novels, please check my channel down below and subscribe. It will help me a lot. Thank you, and take care.